Well, Suga is definitely looking to walk away from this, looking to have strengthen Japan's international relations. He is holding bilateral meetings with all three of the other leaders, and he's been very explicit in welcoming AUKUS, the security pact between Australia, the UK and the US, saying that it plays an important role in security in the Indo-Pacific region. Of course, security in that region has been a big focus, particularly the East and South China Seas, and the agreement for denuclearization, or to work towards the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, is something that's going to be very welcome here in Japan, particularly given North Korea's latest missile launches, with one landing inside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Economic security, again, a really big focus. Suga has been explicit in saying the rise of China is a threat to Japan's economy. And Japan is also facing more broadly when it comes to semiconductors, what they call 3 lost decades. The pandemic has really highlighted how Japan has fallen behind in its competitiveness and been left out on that. The 6 big Japan automakers have cut production of over 1 million vehicles for this fiscal year. So that really has highlighted that. The agreement for cooperating for the semiconductor supply chain is something that's seen as incredibly necessary. Now, Suga has made some very ambitious goals towards decarbonization when it comes to climate change. He's been very much following Biden's lead on that, and he's going to be looking to show some progress. So the agreement that all countries are going to be picking up progress on that front is going to be very welcome. Currently, it's not clear exactly how Japan is going to be working towards its decarbonization goals. And so that is one issue that Suga will be leaving for the next leader of Japan, due to be elected on Wednesday, to face. But Suga has hailed the Quad as a success, saying it's a relatively new thing, but has completely taken root. But the big test will be exactly how the 4 countries put these cooperation agreements into practice.
Well, this is the 7th meeting in the last second meeting in the last 7 months of these leaders, and that clearly shows the seriousness on the part of all the 4 nations to take this grouping forward and to take certain steps which are beneficial. And as they have already stated, as United States has said, that the focus of this grouping is to not only talk about security apparatus, but also a number of other issues like COVID-19, climate change, apart from that, infrastructure, and also exchanging technology. So these are certain areas where these countries are going to collaborate, and India making the first step. In the last meeting, it was decided that India will provide 1 billion vaccine doses to the Indo-Pacific, and now the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in this meeting has promised that 8 million doses will be sent by the end of October, for which of course the cost will be shared by Quad and certain costs will be shared by India. So that is one step from India's side. Apart from that, 2 more issues which have been raised by Mr. Narendra Modi and have been accepted by the other leaders. One of them is that there should be a collaborative international traveling protocol where there should be mutual recognition of the vaccine certificate. We just saw the row which happened between India and UK regarding the vaccine certification, recognition, because the UK has said that the traveller's certificate will not be recognized in UK and they will have to quarantine. So there was an agreement on making that kind of a system where people can travel from one country to the other. And of course, one of the most burning issues, Afghanistan, was once again raised by the Prime Minister, because India of course fears that Afghanistan will be used as a territory to spread terrorism in the country, to make certain events and incidents happen here. And of course, Pakistan's support to Afghanistan, although the Indian Prime Minister did not mention the name in his speech, but definitely Afghanistan is one issue which India has been raising on all international platforms in the last few weeks that we have seen.
Consider the timing of those 3 events. As you mentioned, the formation of AUKUS, that new trilateral group involving the United States, the UK, and Australia. The scuttled sub-deal announced last week, as you mentioned, Australia pulling out of the conventional submarine deal with France, instead deciding to build a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines relying on U.S. technology. And then within the last 24 hours, that face-to-face meeting of Quad leaders, all this, you would have to assume, it's not a coincidence, it's designed to help raise Australia's profile in the region as being stronger on security and defense, something that Australia is hoping to certainly accomplish. Remember that despite being the smallest country in that Quad partnership, Australia is looking to play a bigger role and looking for partners in regional stability and security. And as you've heard the other correspondents mention, while China has not been mentioned in any of the official communications coming from the Quad meeting, it is widely believed that one of the very big topics, and certainly that's high on Australia's list as well, is concerns over China's growing presence across the region. Now, Australia is also looking for partnerships in other areas, for example, technology and economic interests. That's important when you consider that Australia is very much an export nation. Its economy benefits hugely from the goods and services it exports. And one of the things that was talked about in the area of climate change was Australia's critical minerals. Prime Minister Scott Morrison here talking about how Australia has an abundance of those, and those have been mentioned potentially to be used with other countries as far as looking for cleaner power sources, again, as the Quad leaders look to address not only security but certainly climate change.